Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the SooSoo Toys Frozen Man himself. Of course, they're not fooling anyone, this is Iceman, based off his appearance from X-Men Days of Future Past, my personal favourite X-Men movie out of the series, and I couldn't be more excited to finally have another figure out of that film to add alongside the official Hot Toys Days of Future Past Wolverine. There have been a few third-party Icemen before, but let's just say they weren't quite up to standard. Now before we begin, I do want to let you know this is a third-party unlicensed product. That means the company SooSoo Toys doesn't hold the intellectual property rights to actually call this Iceman, hence the name Frozen Man. So if you are picking this up, do so knowing full well it is an unlicensed product. This is by no means a promotional video, this is a review on a product that I've purchased with my own money. I picked up mine from toyswonderland.com, and the link for that is in the description below, just for your reference purposes only. While you are down there, why not hit that subscribe and bell notification icon so you're notified as soon as brand new content goes live on the channel. What we're gonna do now though is take the box off the rotating turntable and do the unboxing. And here we have the box art for Frozen Man himself. Of course, SooSoo Toys always kill it with the box art. They've nailed it once again. You can see a picture of Bobby right up there on the front, fully iced out. Of course, we do get two head sculpts with the figure, one to represent this look and one normal one as well. On the side, Frozen Man once again, X-Men logo, and of course the same stuff on the back. Now let's get this guy out here. I've been super excited. I've been slowly, of course, building out my X-Men display thanks to Toysera. And yes, they actually have made an Iceman in the past before. Love that piece of box art, mind you. But the head sculpt on the Toysera Iceman, let's just say it left a lot to be desired. It wasn't all that fantastic. SooSoo Toys, however, have been stepping up their game more and more with each consecutive release. I've been super impressed, especially with that Tom Holland Peter Parker head sculpt. Now here we have Iceman himself, and I have to say that is far and away a 10 out of 10 compared to what we've gotten previously from the likes of Toysera. That looks pretty much exactly spot on to the actor himself, and I have to say the paintwork looks pretty darn good as well. Nevertheless, let's pop him aside. As you can see, he does come with a fair few things, and one other key accessory that what we may as well do now is get all of this stuff laid out in the light box, including the surprise accessory, and take a closer look. And here we have all of the accessories that come with Iceman. Now as you can see, it's kind of slim pickings. He doesn't come with a hell of a lot of stuff, and I think that was to make room in the budget for that huge honkin' piece right off camera. This is of course his ice effect. They call it on the box the ice surfboard, and I guess you could call it that as well. It's a really big, heavy, high-quality piece. I love the way this looks. Honestly, I'm glad they included something like this to spruce up the release, because otherwise it might have been just a little bit boring, but with the addition of this piece, I think it makes it a little bit more essential for anyone's X-Men collection. It's not just a straight-up blue tinted resin either. There's like an airbrushing of an additional blue layer over the top, and I love the way that comes across. Of course, on this section, it's nice and glossy and smooth. You can unfortunately see some of the injection points there when they poured the resin, but I think that's kind of unable to be avoided, which makes sense for such a big honkin' piece. It is smooth on one section there, and then smooth on the top. You can kind of display it whichever way you'd like, but I think it's supposed to go like this, with the smooth section sort of enveloping the display base, so you can have him, of course, perched atop it. I really like that piece, and I'm so very glad they included it. Now, taking a look at the display base, it's pretty much the usual fare from SooSoo Toys. Same exact style, except this time with this purplish style X on the front. On trend, on brand, it works for me. Now this time it does come with a dynamic flight pole. For those of you who purchase this figure, you might struggle initially to plug this in. When you get it plugged in just a little bit, what I recommend doing is bending the pole and then using it as leverage to screw it in. That way you're not going to have to fight with it as much to get it screwed in all the way, because trust me, this thing I don't believe is actually threaded to go in there, so you will have to kind of make the threads yourself. It's a bit unusual and not something that I've ever had to do before, but as you can see, once you screw it in, it fits in there quite nicely, and it's a very strong and sturdy connection. A bit of a challenge to do, but once you get it done, I'm sure it's going to work perfectly fine. Now you can see he does come with a couple of other things. Let's take a look at the alternate head sculpt. As you can see, it's pretty much the exact same as the regular head sculpt, just an icy effect version. It looks great, it looks like ice, maybe slightly yellow under this lighting, and that's because of this rubbery style connection on the inside there, but trust me, when you have it on the figure, it's going to look really darn good. And of course, you do get some matching hands to go along with it, with the ice effect. I don't know which way I'm going to go, if I'm going to have him in the full-on iced out look, or a little bit more human-esque, and just go for the hands, but either way, something is going to be icy. Now you can see he does come with some additional hands as well. They are of course identical in sculpt, I do believe, but these are nicely painted, a lot of weathering and a lot of detail, especially in the texture. They definitely have nailed it with those gloves. Now, what we're going to do next is get the Iceman himself out here and take a closer look. And here we have Iceman standing straight up and down the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that, and I have to say, at first glance, he looks really good. The silhouette of this guy, the type of body that they've chosen, is pretty much perfect. Sometimes when it comes to these third-party figures and they're using off-the-shelf bodies, they can kind of look a little bit goofy, but luckily this guy doesn't have that issue whatsoever. SooSoo Toys have nailed it once again with their outfit and their head sculpt. They've been getting better and better, and I know I'm probably going to say that a couple of times throughout the course of this video, but ever since they first started, they've been on my radar. They're a company that doesn't mess around. You can tell they have a lot of love for the brands that they invest their time in. All the way back when they did one of their first figures being the Flash, I was super impressed with how much stuff they put in the box, the interchangeable logos, the lightning effects, the proper third-party display base. Honestly, most of the time when it comes to third-party companies, we don't even get a display base. These guys definitely aren't messing around, and you can tell by the look of this Iceman figure. Head sculpt, outfit, and body are all on point. What we're going to do now, though, is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in, and take a closer look at the details. And here we have Iceman himself up close and personal, and I have to say, SooSoo Toys did a remarkable job on that head sculpt. I see the likeness through and through. They've been getting better and better recently with their paint application, and this one really does show how far they've come. Honestly, their first products weren't even all that bad, but I think they've nailed it with this sculpt. I'm really impressed with the amount of work and attention to detail that SooSoo Toys have put in there. Very, very impressive. The outfit itself also is really nicely done. It's a multi-layered piece. Looks like there's a shirt even under this undershirt as well. You can see the zipper up the top there. Yes, it is working and it does move. Same thing with this one on the outside. If you wanted to zip this up, you very well could do that. I personally am going to opt to leave it open. It's a really nice design. It's accurate to the movie. It flares out up here at the shoulders, gives him a bit more of an imposing look. You can see there is screen printing along the top here, but the arms themselves, they aren't screen printed as far as I can tell. There's a little bit of texture on these panels right here, but they feel pretty much soft fabric, so that means you can pose it, get a little bit more creative without destroying the look of the outfit. No creases, hopefully, will be seen at all on this figure. It's a nice stretchy style fabric, as you can see right there. Choice of fabric is on point from SooSoo Toys. The pants themselves, again, just a basic fabric pant. Nice plastic belt up the top there. You can futz it and move it around. In fact, you probably will have to if you get him posed on that crazy icicle display base. Now, these knee pads, I don't believe are fixed to the pants. Actually, there is a Velcro strap, so you can sort of futz with them and get them to look the way you want. This one is a little bit off to one side. Literally just futz it around, use the Velcro, get it a little bit tighter, and hopefully it'll be slightly more centered. It does appear like there is a zip on the underside here. A little bit of a weird design, but I'm sure accurate to the movie, and moving down to the boots. Unfortunately, no split cut boot design here. It's a little bit of a shame. I really would have liked an optimal range of motion for a sort of running, sort of ice skating type character like Iceman here. As I said, a bit of a shame that we didn't get a split cut boot design, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. They are short enough to get a tiny bit of range of motion there, and they are sculpted really nicely. I love the weathering, I love the paint app, and the sculpt looks immaculate. Overall, pretty darn impressed with the outfit on Iceman. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison to another figure from Days of Future Past. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only one from official or third-party companies that you can kind of pose alongside your Iceman so far. This is of course the Hot Toys Wolverine, one of the very best Hot Toys Wolverine figures, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me there. These two look really good standing together. Of course, they were in both of these outfits in the movie, and having them on the same shelf kind of makes me want a few more figures. Fingers crossed SooSoo Toys keeps this line going. As you can see, there is a bit of a height difference between the two. I do think that's accurate. Wolverine, also known as Hugh Jackman, is a tall dude, so this definitely does make sense. You could chalk it up to the fact the boots are maybe a bit thicker or something like that. I don't exactly know the heights between the two actors. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below, but for me personally, this scale between these two guys works really well. Just going over articulation on Iceman. Now bear in mind, this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. When you get yours in hand, I'm sure you can push the joints a little bit further than I'm willing to go. Now starting off with the head sculpt itself, it is on a fixed neck, so that means you're not going to get a huge range of motion, but in my opinion, that is more than enough. Forward, back, side to side, a little bit of swivel and pivot as well. The arms themselves go out to about there, and of course the good thing is all of this is pretty much fabric. I mean, there's a little bit of screen printing here and there, but I don't think any of that stuff is going to get damaged by the way of sort of moving him around and putting him in crazy poses. You do of course have a butterfly joint. They go pretty much all the way around, as unrestricted as you'd expect from a fabric style outfit. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow, and of course you do have a regular joint in there, but because the gloves are a fixed piece, you are getting a little bit more of a hindered range of motion. Now for the torso, you get a crunch pretty much all the way forward and a little bit less back, swivel and pivot side to side. The legs themselves go forward to about there. They go out pretty much all the way as you'd expect. You can move the pants up a little bit higher and go out even further. You do have a swivel at the upper thigh, double bend there at the knee, and of course down at the feet, a regular style ball joint, but unfortunately we don't have a split cut boot design. We get a little bit of pivot forward and back and side to side, but not a hell of a lot. Just wrapping up on the SooSoo Toys Iceman figure. Honestly, this is one of those third-party releases that I didn't really know what to do with until I opened it up. Now I'm super impressed, and I've got my fingers and toes crossed that SooSoo Toys keep this line going, because I personally want more. This release kind of showcases what they can do with the Xmen line. We've gotten this guy, fingers crossed we do get a Magneto and a Professor X. That at the very least would round out the line for me personally. Finally, my Days of Future Past Hot Toys Wolverine figure has a companion on the shelf, and a really darn good one at that. Two head sculpts, a nice effect diorama style display base that's proper heavy and made of resin. This is a pretty deluxe release, and by a third-party company at that. Not to mention the quality of the paint app on that head sculpt far and away is the best to the actor who portrays Iceman in the X-Men franchise. I haven't seen a third-party sculpt to nail his likeness like this particular one has. Also, when the light hits the ice effects, they glow really darn nicely, and you can see that in front of you right now. This thing looks fantastic under super harsh lights, and I'm really impressed with how it comes across. Now, if you do want to pick it up, I purchased mine from toyswonderland.com, and of course, the link for that is in the description below. Just to let you know though, this is third party and it is unlicensed. That means the guys over at SooSoo Toys don't hold the intellectual property rights to actually make this figure or call this Iceman, so if you are purchasing it, do so knowing full well it's an unlicensed product. Now also, if you are heading down to the description, why not check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.